Oh, there we go. Do I need to repeat that? No, good. We'll start off with the first item on the agenda, which is declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interests to receive any additional interest not already registered. If there are none at this time, obviously, should any arise during the course of our conversations, please feel free to declare them. We'll then move on to apologies for absence. So I think we've actually got a full house, haven't we? Welcome all of you, and particularly welcome to Dennis. It's lovely to see you back and looking so well. 73922 minutes to confirm the minutes of the committee meeting held on the 21st of February, which were received by full council on the 28th as a true record. I'll go through them page by page. We have page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. Any questions, queries, or comments? So are we happy to adopt those, noting Councillor Harvey's abstention on that one, and Councillor Crawford's? Okay, we then move on to 74022, which is the contracts update. To note the attached schedule of contracts, and the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that there's absolutely no change from last time. Yeah. But welcome to take any questions should you have them. No. In that case, duly noted. We then move on to committee financial decisions. And the most recent one there is the Heritage and Town event, which will be for the additional leaf and 2 chairs within this room post-May, Star Wars Day, post-May the 4th, with the 2 new seats that will be available for election. Any questions or queries or comments on that item, please?
I just have one query, and I spoke to Alan earlier. There's a mistake on this page.
Is there?
47822 says Cemetery Committee, and then underneath it, 47022, talk about market tolls, etc. 741, I'm on the right page, 74122, yeah?
Yes. I'll have a look at that in the
Okay.
next meeting.
We'll have that
It's just the cemetery thing is
application for clarity.
So it should be the Venues and Communication Committee.
That's what I thought, yeah. That's approved. I do read details.
No, well done. So we go on to 74222, which is the approval of payments. You previously had circulated the listing of the payments that were made. Any questions, please? It's not recommend approval to full council, it's approval, isn't it?
That's right. Yes.
So may I have a proposer? Thank you, Chris. Seconder, thank you, Barbara. All those in favour? Unanimous. Then move on to 74322, which is the financial report for the 11 months ended the 28th of February 2023. So as we get closer to the year end, things get clearer or not, as the case may be. So as you'll see, the income is higher than budgeted. And then obviously the expenditure has been higher than budgeted. And as predicted, deficit has occurred. Deficit is also expected in March before the year ending, a year-end accounting entries are processed. And obviously, yeah, it's therefore recommended that committee notes the financial report for the 11 months ended 28th of February 2023. And obviously to reiterate that note of caution that we've been saying since December, that whilst there might be underspends, overall, as a council, there are overspends, and it would be inappropriate and imprudent to exploit those too much, because at the end of the day, we haven't kept our purses. Questions, queries, or comments, please, on the team and those reports.
The projected deficit is in the region of 30,000, I understand.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, worrying. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. incredibly challenging. And for those who have managed their budget well,
Thank you.
it is frustrating. There have been certain elements that have been beyond our control. But as you can see on certain lines where income has gone down on some sides of things, the expenditure has also reduced because they're directly related as outlined in your paper. So, for example, the cemetery side of things. There are significant overspends in personnel, venues and communication, as well as the other expenditure side of things. Obviously, the personnel costs have exceeded the budget due to higher equipment support and maintenance costs. There's the higher property rates in relation to the former art gallery and then the empty shambles. Dennis.
Yeah, no, just, have the figures been not standard figures because of COVID and everything? I mean, have they been made worse or better because of COVID? Because COVID did affect our finances, didn't it? Quite
It
bad.
did,
Yeah.
but ultimately, we are talking about the 2022-23 financial year.
Yeah.
Whilst there may be some ongoing impact from the COVID period, ultimately the COVID
Was generally not over because it's still going.
it's that significant impact, I believe, has been.
So this did make our financial year.
I think what's made it a greater challenge is the fluctuating costs in all departments.
Yes. Yes.
And the challenges that we've experienced, and just a simple thing like fuel costs has caused fluctuations within markets. Harvey.
Yeah, I'm going to move on financial for dummies now. When we was at venues, we were told that the carnage room takings were far above what they was anticipated.
Yeah.
And the fact that lots of some more of our properties have gone out for rental now. And he says more money coming in. So when will that impact on this on the digital perspective?
So starting to, and obviously when you have increased bar takings, you actually also have then increased bar expenditure. And I know there's been a lot of conversations within venues and communications regarding the gross profit figures, as it were, like for like. Alan, is there anything you'd like to pick up on
I
that?
think really what happened is the opposite of what you said. In the beginning of the financial year, the hall bookings were actually a lot lower, but the bar income hasn't been as low. So we've had fewer functions, fewer ad hoc functions where we've had previously. So that income is down, but where we have had functions, our bar income and other venues related income is up. But we also we've had two other impacts. The first one is at the beginning of the financial year, all our activities were lower. So possibly that was the start carryover from COVID. So if you have a look at venues and communication, best committee to have a look at, because you'll see that their figures in April, May and June were actually very low relative to what they expected. And the second thing is when we did this budget, it was November 2021, inflation was forecast to be 2.8%. And by January, it had really kind of forecast to be 5 to 6%. And when the financial year started, it was very close to 10%. So our whole base of budgeting was actually distorted.
Okay.
Any further questions? In that case, the recommendation, is it to note the final? Yeah, notes the financial report for the 11 months ended 28th of February 2023. Do I have a proposer in that case? Thank you, Mac. We'll have a seconder, please. Dennis, all those in favour? Sparkling, unanimous. So we then move on to the approval of the 3-year operational budget. So you've already approved the 2023-24 budget. That was the process of meetings that we had both in November and January. So that is what it is. We are required to produce a 3-year budget. So it's looking forward and seeing what could happen in 2024-25 and 25-26. So given our best guesses, that's what we've pulled together. This has been to most of the committees, I believe.
The project budget has, sorry, this has.
The project budget hasn't, the operational budget hasn't. So, okay. So any questions, queries or comments on that, please? As ever, even bigger fingers in wins than just for the next year. But it's indicative and gives us an idea of where we are. Yes, Dennis.
Yeah, on the inflation rate for 23-24.
Mhm.
Don't know what we can do with that, but there seems to be an indication that the inflation rate will drop considerably. Whether that is going to be true or not, I don't know, but we're still working on 11 point.
So for 23-24, we did work on 11.7%, being the best figure that we had available to us when we set that budget. So that has been set. We cannot touch that.
That one, okay.
But yes, for 24-25 and 25-26, those are the best indications that we have from all of the information that we have available to us, including our investment guides.
The Bank of England have put out a forecast rate when we did this, and I've actually just used that rate, what they forecast inflation to be.
Well, okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
If I knew what those sort of numbers would look like, I wouldn't be sitting here and I'd be a very rich woman.
Well, yes.
There was only one thing I didn't understand on that, and that was the property value indicator for the Sue.
So what happens is we calculate our expenditure, deduct all our known income, and the balance is precept. So how we get to the precept for a band D for a property is we take the property indicator, divide that into that, and it'll tell us what precept we need per band D property.
Right.
So what we've done is we've assumed that the SU will actually grow. At the moment, there's 200 properties, I think, that are occupied. So over the next 3 years, we're expecting that figure to grow. So we'd expect our property value indicator to grow, and that will then have an impact on the precept.
Right, only because we've got more people.
You've got more people paying, so therefore, hopefully, everyone pays. More people pay slightly less than if the SU didn't grow.
Yeah. Thank you.
And again, that's a best guess given the phasings and yeah, and
Given the flow started.
the market values are interesting at present.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions,
No.
queries? So in that case, please, team, the decision required is to approve the 3-year budget and recommend its adoption to full council. Do I have a proposer, please?
Nobody else will.
Thank you, Councillor Crawford. Do I have a seconder, please? Barbara, all those in favour? Against?
Against?
Abstaining? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favour, 1 abstention. Thank you. Okay, we then move on to the projects budget. So as promised, when we set the operational budget, we did say to full council that we'd be bringing forward the projects budget. You've all had a look at it. Any questions, queries or comments, please?
Gonna add new wall to that.
Good question, well asked. Why can I see quoits? Not on there, on corner of St Peter's Church.
This morning, a fire van articulated truck decided that the quickest way to get to a shop at the top end of King Street would be to drive along that road,
Up there.
and took it out, unfortunately.
Do we have vehicle
Insurance,
details?
we have the police, they actually called the police. An insurance claim has already been lodged by 12 o'clock today.
The last time we have it took us ages to get it done because of the.
Because of the challenge of getting a stonemason worker to do it, and you probably remember the challenges that we had in terms of a wall on one of our almshouses that needed replacing. So yes, it's not going to be a quickly resolved job because it is a heritage site.
Are we short of flint workers?
We are, which is why
There's
part
one
of the idea.
working in Hamilton. I'll get his details.
That would be fantastic. I mean, obviously it's got to go through the insurance, but given that it is a specialist work, that would be super. And that's part of the reason we've the Heritage Master Plan, some of the ideas are to develop St Peter's Church as a heritage skills base so that we can pass on these trades to the young, because crikey, our properties are getting older, and it's not just ours. There is a plethora of, heritage buildings out there, and actually we need to see that longevity and those buildings looked after long term. So hopefully something more will come to that, but glad to have gotten that work underway.
Good.
So from walls and quoits back to projects. Anything in there? Anybody's going, what? So this has been before most of the committees,
Cemetery total bed, for example.
and obviously reinforces the reasons behind doing the corporate priorities and your plans and your terms of reference properly for all of the committees. Councillor Harvey.
King's House Renewal
Yeah, I
Reserve,
was going to
come under,
say.
So no, it's for this room and for everything that relates to it. It's the funding source for a project, funding this particular room.
this room, although we pay.
And the civic brigade.
We do pay rent, but we have a responsibility in terms of being a tenant for the adaptations for that.
Okay.
Not suppose George Stanford had one of them in his house.
Well, it wouldn't be better now, because that's Sky Sports, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
The television, it don't work.
Any more questions on the project budgets?
Oh, good God, Dennis, you go first.
Oh, yeah, Dennis is making up for lost time. Go for it, Dennis.
COVID-19 loss of revenue
Yes.
thing. Can you give me a little bit of,
So that was the reserve that we'd identified to utilise
yeah,
to offset some of the financial implications of COVID-19. Where are we at with that one now?
It's just it's an
empty.
so what we've done is
Empty now, is that?
there's a little bit of money left there.
Yeah.
it's empty now.
So that potentially will be utilised to offset any shortages this year.
Because I noticed in one of the reports, there's a COVID, to make it COVID compliant or something. Yeah.
COVID compliance is available at the moment.
What we have is we had a COVID expense item in one of the personnel budget
Yeah.
in the financial report, and that was just we had to buy additional cleaning materials when it first came out.
That's the
We just tried to isolate it so we could quantify the impact of COVID. And this COVID-19 reserve, we set it up because we had to fund things like desk spaces where we put all the barriers between desks. We had to look at the entrance hall. We had to redo all the entrance halls.
All the face masks.
No, it's the actual, some of the capital projects that we actually had to do in the Carnegie to make it. COVID. And then we had to do all the software that we see now, that all came out of COVID, virtual meetings and that type of thing. So setting up all the teams, projects that we've done, that was also funded from the COVID-19 reserve.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Chris.
I've done that, so I found it, I'm okay.
Okay.
I think I've managed to explain it to myself.
Just way, isn't it?
Trust them, please. Any more questions, queries or comments, please, team? In that case, the recommendation is to approve the project's budget and recommend its adoption to full council. Thank you, Chris, as a proposer. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Matt. All those in favour?
Oh, yes.
4, against. Abstentions, 2 abstentions. Okay, so we move on to 74546, because I didn't put my glasses on there, so I've got the numbering wrong, which is approval of the credit control policy. You've had this circulated in advance. I know it makes riveting reading, and I'm so pleased to have assisted you getting to sleep this weekend. So the decision required is to approve the credit control policy and recommend its adoption to full council as we need to, because it is a council-wide policy that we'd be looking to implement. I'll open the floor for discussion, please. I would, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, officers' discretion comes under.
And I think that's the common sense approach. It reflects very much more a commercial, real world rather than perhaps what we've experienced as council bureaucracy view in the past. And it provides a strong basis for the staff to go, what do we do when? Oh, no, we do that. Right, okay. What do we do when? All right, we did that. Okay, there is discretion within it. Should it fall within a parameter and fall within the delegated duties within the financial regulation? So I think it presents a good working document that reflects where we are and supports us going as an organisation going forward, and answers some of the little wibbly wobbly questions that we've had in this forum going, well, what do we do when? Is there anything you'd like to add on that one?
Yeah, we were just using examples of, say, COVID. If someone is self-isolating, you wouldn't actually want to go have contact with them, or they wouldn't be able to do something. You would actually give them a little bit of latitude. But what we have done is we have put some safeguards in that the responsible finance officer, i.e. the town clerk, would have to okay that, and this committee would exercise oversight. So every occasion where there had been that issue, it would be brought as an officer's update, and with obviously taking into account GDPR considerations, this committee would then have oversight. So if the officers were using too much discretion, this committee would be the oversight body that would hold them to account.
Any more questions? In that case, do I have a proposer to approve the credit control policy and recommend its adoption to full council, please? Thank you, Dennis. Seconder, thank you, Barbara. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. So then we go on to 747, update on the status of the finance officer's projects, please. Again, the schedule has been circulated in advance. There has been some movement, so well done, Alan, because I know it's a challenging time of year, focusing on year end as well. Any questions, queries or comments, please, team?
Just the only thing is it's nice to see no red on there, and we are moving forward.
Yeah, we are, and obviously
And that's our officer.
well, that credit vetting process has fallen into that credit control policy. So yeah,
That's going.
gradually working through the to-do list.
We'll see a lot more green next time if we're here.
I hope so.
If we're here.
Obviously, just be mindful that, you know, financial year ends and internal audit and all of that crazy world does. Yeah.
Minor details.
So are we all happy to note that update?
No.
Super. So we then move on to correspondence, to note any other correspondence received. Have we had any? No,
No.
That's good. Committee officers update, to update any information since the agenda was released or requires the attention of the committee, please.
The couple of things that I have put on. The first one is that I was hoping today to have some information on our new electricity and gas contracts. Our contracts expire in September, and we've been trying to get an idea from the market as to what is going to happen. What prices are being offered now? Do we get an informed decision to wait for another 2 months or 3 months to take it to the new council? I have two suppliers that promised that they'd have the information to me today. And up until 5 o'clock or 4:30 this afternoon, none of them had come through, so I wouldn't be able to do anything with them. But it's just something that we will need to consider, that the committee will need to consider. The second one is that every year I've asked the chair of finance if we can cancel the April 23 meeting because it's right in the middle of the year end. So I've just put that issue there. The third issue is that on the financial risk assessment, it was a requirement asked of me to update this committee on the status of resolving the indebtedness between GW Standing Forth Trust and council. At the planning meeting, I had an opportunity to speak to the chair of the GW Standing Forth Trust, and he's just waiting for one signature, and then we can actually hopefully close the account and get it transferred to another account, which the officers have access to, and then we can bring on more councillors to do that. And the last one is just an update. If you remember at the last meeting, we approved the internal control review, and that is now scheduled for the 29th of March.
Any questions on those updates, please?
Are we going to cancel the 23rd of April meeting? I mean, when do we decide that? It's getting close.
So chair's discretion, I can just cancel it.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have some input from yourselves, actually. Do you want to go ahead with it? I see no point when it's in the middle of the internal audit process.
I'd like to totally agree with you. I think the 23rd of April meeting is a very inconvenient time for our officers. Thank you.
Okay, so we will cancel that, the April meeting, no problem. And then obviously in terms of the electricity and gas, the contract expires on the 30th of September, so we just need to be mindful of that work back, which is why I charged Alan to find out kind of what was going on, because I've had those conversations with my business, with my suppliers, and whilst wholesale prices have come down, we're not seeing that in the market yet, which is always interesting. Quick to put up, slow to come down.
Yeah.
But obviously, hopefully, we will be seeing a little bit more, but we need to be mindful that there is a timeline in there. Should we go out to tender, there will be a process timeline within that. So possibly the latest that we do that will be the new administration come May, June.
Buy from Roscoe, the Russian food. They're selling cheap gas.
My mummy always told me if I can't say anything nice, don't say nothing at all. So on that, I will be silent. Thank you very much for the update. And then finally on to community engagement. Is there anything that we need to get out there? Has a press release gone out regarding the wall? I know that's not this committee's department, but I think it would be appropriate to make residents aware that we are aware of it. Yeah, and it's impressive, especially as people will remember how long that took us last time to resolve.
Yeah.
Is that something that can go out?
Certainly catch them.
So just a press release to say, we know the wall's been damaged.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, insurance and police have been advised. Where, whatever. Do you think that's, I think that's the right thing to do.
I think it's absolutely the right thing to do, because what will happen is someone somewhere will write down that, oh, you're wasting our money or some such thing. But if we say, actually, it's everybody's aware, it's under an insurance claim, there will be a comment to say, oh, well, it'll take as long as Nuns Bridges did or something like that. At least we put it out there.
Yeah, it demonstrates that we're in control of the situation.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's gone all the way through to the second wall.
Yeah.
You can see all the
Listen,
old
last
points.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, it's the new bit that got repaired.
Yeah.
That's right. In that case, thank you all very, very much for your time. Meeting closed.
You did promise to pass me